It's okay to talk to somebody. It's okay to need counseling. It's okay to talk to somebody who can help you through this instead of carrying it all. All right, everybody, welcome back to the Next Level Dad podcast. Today, I have a very special episode lined up for you guys as I'm having my first guest on the podcast. His name is Kevin Shin. He's an old coworker of mine that served with me at the fire department for over 20 years. Kevin started off his career as a firefighter, paramedic, engineer, then fire captain. Kevin rose through the ranks of our fire department in Culver City, California. It's on the west side of Los Angeles until a neck injury sidelined him and eventually cut his career short. But that hasn't stopped Kevin. Kevin has kept moving forward. He has shown the resilience. He has shown all of the things that he learned throughout his life to be that fighter. And through that resilience and the ups and downs, Kevin is here today. We're going to talk about what he's up to, life as a father, entrepreneur, and now and his new venture, which is being in government politics as a council member for the city of Carlsbad, California. So, without further ado, I welcome my friend, former coworker, Kevin Shin. What's up, brother? How you doing, brother?
Good, man. How are you?
Good. Thank you so much for joining me here on the podcast.
Of course.
I see you doing just incredible things online and in your personal life. You know, first things first, you are a girl dad like myself, you know, so taking care of the home front with your girls and with your family. And now you are stepping into this whole other world, man, this whole other world of city council and politics and everything, man. Just so cool to see you doing great things, man. And you're definitely an inspiration for a lot of people.
Thanks, brother. I miss you. I miss
Yeah,
our cruise,
miss you
man.
too.
Yeah.
I know. So that was just a short little introduction, Kevin. Do you got anything to add or to your intro?
I mean, yeah, just to understand me, I suppose, like started off, you know, my parents were immigrants from Korea. They showed up, accidentally had me. Then, so I was a knucklehead in school or what have you. I needed to set a good direction in my life. And it kind of dawned on me that I needed to do something like joining the Marine Corps. So joined the Marine Corps, got me down to San Diego County. That's kind of where I fell in love with. And then at some point, through 9/11 and GWAT, Global War on Terror, became a defense contractor, got burnt out on that. And then I joined the fire department. So that's how I got to meet you. So it's kind of a tee up for my life.
Dude, that's so cool, man. I was just in Mission Beach, maybe a month or two ago. Took my family down there to that little water park and to the amusement park. Dude, so cool, man. I love San Diego. I love that whole area. So, man, I'm definitely jealous. Every time I go down there, I'm like, oh, this is so cool.
Yeah. Yeah, this is home for me, man. I kind of don't care about going north of here, but my parents still live in LA, so up I go every once in a while.
Man, so definitely. And every time I get down there into San Diego, it's always 72. It is always the most perfect weather ever. And I'm just like, I look at my wife. I'm like, what if we just lived down here? What if we moved down here? This would be just amazing.
It was something.
Such a cool place.
Yeah. Every time I get off work, right? And I'm from LA, and there's a part of me that loves LA, but there's a hustle and grind and a different, like, it's urban. And so as soon as I would drive down the 5 and you hit Dana Point and all of a sudden you see the ocean and you start crossing Camp Pendleton, the tone, like everything starts settling down. It's almost like you're going on vacation land. So I'm like, if I can move here and still work up there, I'm going to do it. And that's what I did. I want my kids to be raised there. I mean, we live 5 minutes from Legoland, 5 minutes from the beach. And then, you know, everything else you're describing is not that far away as well. So just love it. Now I get to represent it, which is trippy.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it just California has so many different areas and so many different pockets and so many different just like you said, you got the urban vibe and then you get down to the beach and then you get down to like the more chill uh South County and then the San Diego. It's just it's an awesome place to be. So definitely wanted to let you know that I'm jealous of you living down there because it's such a cool place.
Yeah, man.
So, like I said earlier, you spent 20 years working for the fire department and you worked your way up to fire captain. What originally called you to be a firefighter?
Yeah, it's a great question. So like I said, I was a defense contractor, and I was dealing with satellite GPS technology, which is brand new, like just post 9/11, and all the applications for it. And while I was doing all of that, if you really think about like what the Marine Corps is and defense contracting, I mean, you're in a sense, you're like an assassin. You're doing the worst things on the planet. So if you think about morality, right? So if you're thinking about being a patriot, that's one thing. You're doing like the best thing. But if you're thinking about how's that dealing with your soul, you're starting to get a little bit broken down from that. You can. I don't.
Mm.
I was. So between that, being in a corporate atmosphere the entire time, I wanted to see a change up. I actually thought to myself I was going to join the Peace Corps. So I told myself I was going
Oh,
to join the
really?
Marine Corps, and I was going to be a killer, and I was going to be a Peace Corps, whatever you call them, and I was going to like solve world peace. But it's actually really hard to join the Peace Corps. It's probably harder to join the
Oh,
Peace
okay.
Corps than a fire department. I swear. I don't know. Their background check's
Wow.
insane. I don't know what it was that made them not want to accept me. Maybe it was because I was in the Marine Corps. But we were working on a project potentially with the San Diego Fire Department, and I started having to learn what the fire department was about. And I'm like, these guys look like they have it made. After that, I talked to my friend, and her dad was a fire captain for San Diego. And I did a ride along with him in Pacific Beach, and it was just everything about it seemed perfect for what I was going through and who I wanted to be and what have you. So they helped me out to try to get hired on. I was somehow extremely lucky, and one of my first places I tested for was Culver City, and I like didn't want to look back. I said, first person who's going to grab me, I'm just going to try to be the best asset I can for them, and joined and fell in love with it, like you have, and most firefighters do. And then rest is history, man.
Yeah. And that's where we, linked up and got to work together for a number of years. And it was definitely a cool ride working with you, man. It almost doesn't seem like you don't work there because life happens quick, man. Life happens so quick. And one day you're riding on a fire engine and the next day you're not. And you definitely can attest to that. But for the people who have never been a firefighter, lived that life, what are some of the biggest lessons that you learned not only in the being a firefighter, but like teamwork and leadership?
I'm going to say this first, right? I'm going to brag about us, but it's because when you're not in it anymore and you reflect back, and now I have to represent like Carlsbad Fire Department and just
Mhm.
the fire service in general, you really actually realize how difficult it is to be a firefighter. Like the amount of, like, there was a sense, I remember I was talking to our old chief, Dave White, right? And so I would tell him, I go, I feel like it's a misnomer for us even calling ourselves firefighters. We only call ourselves firefighters because it sounds badass. Outside of that, if you really think about like every single job you have to do, still be
Yeah.
composed behind it. You got to work as a team, of course. You cannot do, there's probably like nothing you can do by yourself that requires a true, legitimate like firefighter's skills and tasks. Um, so like from EMS to all of a sudden, okay, we've got a trench rescue. Oh, okay, we got to pick someone off the roof, or now we got a fire. Like all these things we have to just rapidly shift into being expert about. There's kind of nothing else to be said about that. We're literally like 10 jobs in one.
Yeah.
So that's that's the first part of it. The next thing is what I had just said earlier. You can't do anything by yourself in the fire service. You can handle your simple tasks, but to get like the overall job done, like why someone dialed 911 is rarely just left to one human being, right? So you're forced into
Right.
teamwork no matter what. And if you like teamwork, if you like that type of atmosphere, you're going to thrive in it. So I don't always know if it's necessary that like it teaches you teamwork. I feel like it if you do love teamwork, it's a great place to be in. But if you are have that kind of individualistic mindset, which I also have, and it also rubs me the wrong way being in the fire service when I was, that component doesn't help necessarily. In fact, it can hamper you. So I think it's a little bit of mix of both. Um, and then in regards to leadership, man, I mean, like you're leading people who are like 99 percentile for that
Yeah.
job, right? So there's
Yeah.
just some things you have to learn that are different, but it's not as hard of leadership compared to some things that I've done.
No, I can definitely see that. I can definitely see how, stepping in from a fire captain where you walk into a fire station, things are just dialed in, things are running the way you think they should be most of the time. And then you go to a different environment, a different working environment, and maybe you don't get that much accountability. Maybe there isn't that motivation that firefighters have to get the job done. So definitely I can see how it could be a transition. Kind of to touch on the job of a firefighter. You obviously did it for a very long time, and it is something that when you kind of stop to think, like, I'm obviously in it, so I don't have that much time to reflect because I get a day or two, maybe a 4 day here and there to reflect. The job that we do is a pretty awesome one, man. We just, we're both paramedics and working just as a paramedic on the west side of Los Angeles, man. You get a wide variety of just calls and different events that most people never ever even think about, much less encounter. So being the guy or being the crew that shows up, and now you have to get to work and you fix that problem, you fix whatever's going on, whether it be a fentanyl overdose or a vehicle extrication. It's almost like we go in and then boom, 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 we knock it all out, and then it's like the next call, the next call, the next call, and there's really not that much like self reflection. Like, oh yeah, that was pretty cool, because there's another call waiting 30 minutes later, 15 minutes later. So for you being in that position where it's like, whoa, I did this for a long time and it's actually pretty cool. I love hearing that, man. I love hearing that. So
Yeah, and it's a bit of both. So let's talk about both sides of it. So on the good side, you get to finally reflect back and see some of the cool things you did, and you remember who you were with when you did all of that. There is this other side. This is the dark side that I think firefighters have to understand, and the public needs to understand. When someone's dialing 911, they are in full blown panic mode, right? They don't know how to handle the scene. So we show up and we're handling the scene. And it can be something as easy as like the cat stuck in the tree, all the way to, I'm just going to say it, all the way up to like a parent losing their child, right? So you're in these moments nonstop. And it's exactly what you just said. You respond on one scene, you got to like wrap this thing up. You're literally saying weird stuff right after that call. Now that I'm reflecting back, right? So you literally go on a call like as bad as I just described. And then as you're walking to the rig, you're asking about who's going to pick up lunch, right? You're like that
yeah.
disconnected, if you will, with what's actually going on. Then you go on the next call, then you go on the next call. And what you don't realize is how much you're just stuffing these little traumas in your brain. And
Mm,
and some people like who are still in the fire service are absorbing it and things are going not the right way. Their probably behaviors change or substance use disorder starts kicking in and you're not even totally realizing that. But what does happen is, and this is what's crazy with me, was after I retired and I kind of knew it, like I really, really knew that I'm never coming back. It just started like all of that started percolating out one way or another. And I remember I'm literally running for, office at that time, for city council. And you have to like wake up every day and knock on every door and try to be like cheerful and positive. But I remember there was like about a 2 week period when this was all happening that I'm like, I need to stay at home and I need to just let this all flesh out. I wasn't like going to get sent to a place where I'm like, oh, I need like some serious help or anything. I could recognize what I was going through, but I didn't realize how much even I was holding it in. I had no clue. And then when you start talking to other retirees and you bring it up, a lot of them will say the exact same thing, that there's a sense of all the trauma you absorbed and a loss of the identity of who you were. And you'll never get an identity like that ever again. And so it plays with you right then and there. But while you guys are going through it, you're 10, 15, 20, whatever years you're in at this time, just recognize that that's happening. And some of it you kind of have to do, right? You can't like, there's a part you have to just kind of deflect what's taking place on scene, or you can't do your job. But you have to know that something's going to take place when you retire, and you got to really prepare for that too. It's deep, but I just thought you had to know.
Yeah, that's definitely that's definitely something that a lot of people wouldn't really understand. And those deep calls, right? The calls where, like you mentioned, the parent losing a child, or family getting wiped out in a fire, or just a wide variety of different calls. Having said that, there's like a lot of good calls recently, and I think it came up on something that you had posted about a girl. She just turned 7, and I was on that call with you where the baby was delivered in the back of the ambulance, and we got the baby. I think it was my first one. We delivered the baby, and we went into UCLA, and it was such a cool moment where we as a crew made an actual difference. Like we impacted this life. And having posted that, and 7 years later, I was like, oh my goodness, like it was 7 years ago. I can't believe it. That was such a cool, like, memorable moment. And I remember taking the picture. I remember that whole thing, man. Those are awesome experiences.
It's cool. Yeah. I will never forget that. And then to receive a text because I remember getting their number and just making sure that everything was okay. And then they showed up with the baby like X amount of days later when they're like discharged. And then all of a sudden to get this video of them, it's so cool. So yeah, I'm planning on trying to see if we can get them to the fire station. We can just kind of meet their child again, have a good time with it. So
at this point, man, we'll be playing catch with the kid, playing.
For sure.
He's not a little baby anymore. I couldn't believe the kid is 7 years old. I'm like, whoa.
I think I remember this one, like the pancake breakfast that we had, where I'm sitting there and this woman, like in her 20s, shows up, and she's like, "You're Kevin Shin," and I'm like, "How do you know me?" I thought I was in trouble, and she's like, "I broke my arm when I was at the elementary school, and I remember you took me from feeling safe all the way to the hospital." And I'm like, holy crap. And I was like, I could have just started tearing up right then and there. But it's amazing. Like, yeah, you really do make impacts like that, right? How many times are you calling 911 in your lifetime? So you just, this is probably the advice to those in the fire service. Just remember, like, this may be their only time they call 911. And so the way, it might be your bread and butter call, you're used to doing it. Like, just don't be jaded to the fact that when you go up on scene, that is going to be the first time they've ever experienced an emergency where they can't handle it and they called it, and maybe their only time. And it's like, what type of impression are you leaving them? So it's hard sometimes because we go on so many calls, but it's probably one of the biggest advices that I give whenever I go to like a fire station and they go like, "Hey, what's up?" So like firefighters will get this, medics will get this, right? We go on someone who appears to have like a chest pains because of cardiac related issues. And if we're tired, it's 2 a.m, we're just like telling them to open their mouth. We're gonna give them a spray of nitro, gobble up these pills. And we say it so just blunt and blatantly that they look lost of like, what is going on? And I had to realize when I promoted a captain, I'm like, hey, we have to describe what's going on. Imagine you're like, you feel like crap. You go to the doctor's office. They do an assessment, and next thing you know, he's just looking through the drawer and grabbing stuff and telling you to open your mouth and take it. Right? You're like, what is going on? Why are you even doing this? And I think sometimes we have to recognize, like, okay, each person needs a good like first time description of what it is that we're doing for them. So kind of that bedside manner.
Yeah, no, definitely. You touched on the struggle that firefighters encounter, maybe mental health, maybe carrying all of that weight from those calls that over time you get a little desensitized, but it is still kind of stacking up internally. What do you turn to when you were feeling overwhelmed like that? When you were feeling like I just can't, I can't take this. A lot of guys turn to, and guys and gals turn to alcohol. Sometimes they turn to drugs. What did you turn to when you were having those moments? Did you have an escape? Did you have a release from that heaviness?
So I don't think anyone's done it 100%. Right? When you're in it, you're still in it. You're absorbing the trauma. You're not going to always process everything perfectly. We're not like computers, right? It's not 1 and 0. So I think there's times where I there was never any issues with substance use disorders or anything like that, but there was definitely probably times where I felt frustrated and I was probably releasing out the wrong way, either back to our own crews or at home, what have you. Because you escape when you go home. Sometimes they'll say, "Hey, how's your day?" And you're like, "It sucked. I had to tell a family that their baby passed away, and I was holding this thing, right, and I was going through all of that." And then some spouses and family members will be like, "I don't want to hear that. Stop talking about that." And then now you're stuck in your own world. So now you're like, okay. So then you go do what? You go surf, golf, lift weights, whatever it is. But like you're being told in your own mind, block it off at the station, block it off at home. Nobody wants to hear this. And so you're trying to figure out how to process it. I've just realized that we're humans. We have our own emotions. We always want to try to hide the negative emotions, like they don't even exist. But at some point, you have to just be real with it, right? So I
Yeah.
remember we went on a call where a vehicle slammed in and T-boned this guy. And I remember going on the scene, and then I remember opening the door and realizing he was probably dead. And I asked some of the medics to go check him, just verify, right? We called it 814. Then I heard a kid go, "Dad," and I looked over, and in the back seat was this kid, and he was just not sure what was going on. So I told our medics to just transport the kid, no matter what. Kid had no problem physically, but I'm like, just have him leave the scene. So went through all that process. We went on another scene. It was just a whatever bread and butter call, and I'm talking to the same medics, and I had to tell them that I was like, from the last call to this call, I've been in my room just crying the entire time. And I wanted them to know that it was normal, that I was just like, I think at that time too, a pretty like brand new dad. And so I'm like, yeah, I just let it go. I'm like, I was just nothing else I could do. And I wanted to let them know that that was normal. Right.
Yeah.
Cause I'm like, I go through these things. I'm like, who would not? It'd be abnormal
Right.
for me to just like brush that whole scene off in my head. So I think the some of the best ways to process is just be real with it. Like, hey, this is affecting me in this way. It doesn't matter how like super courageous you think a person needs to be and how they got to suck it up. There's a point where you got to release it and accept that you're releasing these emotions through. That's kind of how I go through most of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's such a good point, man, because I feel now more than ever the conversations are being had where people are talking about these things and people are saying it's fine to release those emotions. It's okay to talk to somebody. It's okay to need counseling. It's okay to talk to somebody who can help you through this instead of carrying it all. Just not that long ago, you just kind of carry it and you're just tough and you're this hardcore firefighter where, gosh, these things are affecting you and they're coming out in different ways. So instead of getting home and releasing it on whoever, your family, or maybe some booze, alcohol, whatever, there's definitely more avenues now than ever, in my opinion, to where we can find a way to release this. You mentioned surfing, golfing. That's awesome, awesome. I do the fitness stuff, and I am into the to fitness. I go to the gym and I just release it there. So finding your form of therapy, whatever it may be, is definitely something that will help all of us out, not only during our careers, but like you're well beyond the fire department, and you still have these thoughts and you still have these calls. We were talking about them like they were yesterday, but we're talking about calls that were 5, 6, 7 years ago. So
Yeah,
definitely.
I would also say to like just you're like we're like point something percent of the population, right? People in the fire service, EMS, emergency medicine. So the rest of the dads and the moms, everyone out there, just also has to understand that like it may not be a, us having to process how do you cope with telling a parent that their loved ones passed away, right? That's things that we have to absorb. That might be huge on the spectrum of what like an emotional tolerance needs to be. And whereas like someone else has never seen that, so their emotional tolerance is just whatever. It's an argument that they had, or it's trying to lock a negotiation of a sales deal and it doesn't go through right. Like that could mean a lot to that individual because it could be like their how they're going to survive the next day. So
Yeah.
it one of the big things to like I've had to realize is when someone's like, "Oh, I'm going through this and it's making me feel this bad." I don't know the scale of what their worst things they've ever seen is. So sometimes when like we're in this settings or if I've been in other interviews, I have to like let people know, yeah, great. Yeah, I've seen like terrible stuff, man, where you just yak if you even heard about it. But that's not normal in most societies, right? Here
Right.
with our first world problems. So I just want to like make sure that if someone's like, man, this I I didn't get a sales deal done, or I didn't make the expectations of my boss or of my partner or what have you, that might be what makes you have to go into a room or seek professional advice or go lift the weights or go do whatever. That's just your emotional spectrum.
Yeah.
It's like when someone says that they're a dog dad and not a real human dad, and they say that they're going through crisis because of whatever, right? And we're looking at it as a real parent to our children and going, that pales in comparisons what I'm dealing with. I still have to recognize that that might be that person's trauma level, like it is if it was my kid. And I can't discount it, even though I really want to at some times. I really have to realize like where are they at in life, and
Yeah.
that's been a little bit difficult. But
Great
I've learned,
analogy.
yeah,
Yeah, that's a great analogy. That's a very good way to put it, because we just don't know what their worst moment is. So we're working through the fire department. Everything's going. You're heading into your 20th year or around there, and you have this neck injury. Initially, I remember it being a long time, maybe a year, and then you came back shortly, and then it was boom, this is it. So, kind of walk me through the thought process of, hey, this is what I've been doing for the last couple of decades, and holy moly, I'm not doing this anymore. Like, what's the thought process? Like, that's got to be pretty significant.
it yes Yes to agree and no. So what was also happening during that time was in 2019, I struck a deal with some hotel owners to create
Yeah, I
a
remember that.
restaurant, right? So then we were supposed to open in 2020, like in March, ended up opening in July. And then in November is when I had my neck injury. So if you're thinking about pivoting and opening and shutting down and like going from managing and owning the restaurant in a hotel, and then a third of my time is with you guys, running calls, dealing with COVID on that level, the back and forth, that was already enough, right? So then by
Yeah.
when November, when I hurt my neck, I thought you guys thought I was faking it because of all the other stuff I had to do. And I remember wondering, like, am I faking this like numbness and whatever, or am I wussing out? Um, and then at some point, like after the MRI, it was like very obvious, like I had, pushed out those discs and I was pinched all everywhere. My left arm was hardly working. And I'm like, okay, thank God. Like this, this isn't just in my head. Like something's really messed up. So I actually felt relieved for some weird reason that, okay, this injury was happening. And I felt like I can go through the surgery that they're recommending and I can get back on. Like that's my other focus. And there's something about maxing out of who I am. So when 9/11 happened, I was going to college and then 9/11 happened and I had to be a Marine, I had to be a defense contractor. And I remember it being like full stack of what I needed to do. And I felt that again.
Yeah.
And I remember how fun it actually was, that challenge, because you
Yeah.
get to look back and go, wow, I took on this huge challenge, right? So
Yeah.
I actually, that felt like fun, if you will, for how sadistic I am. And then when I came back, I thought everything was going to be fine. And when I hurt myself, then that's where it kind of struck me. I realized I'm like, oh, okay. I knew there was a chance this could be a career ender. And now I'm really realizing it could be. So I was doing physical therapy again for the second injury, and then I hurt myself in physical therapy. And that's when my surgeon told me, he goes, "That's it. I'm done. I'm not going to give you another opportunity at this." And I was like,
Wow.
wow, yeah, that hit me. It hit me for a little bit, but I think also I had a chance to already be disconnected because I was dealing with physical therapy. So something in the back of my
Yeah.
head was happening where I was like, okay, I got to be prepared in case this is like, if this is it. So
Right.
yeah.
Gosh. Yeah. I remember because when you went off on injury and then you guys go off and then life keeps going, right? The fire department keeps moving, and I've touched on that in the past with stuff that I put out. And 6 months pass by, sometimes even more, and it's like, whoa, he's been gone. Yeah, he just was here like last month. It's like, no, actually, he was here like 9 months ago, 10 months ago, and you're like, what? Because time just flies when you're on the train. And yeah, I just remember hearing that and I was just like, whoa. I couldn't imagine, right? At that moment, I couldn't imagine because for whatever reason, I was just in a place where like this is it and this is the only thing that people do. Once you get in the fire department, this is the only thing that even exists. My mind has changed because I know there's a lot of cool things and I see people doing a lot of cool things like yourself. But at that moment, I remember thinking like, oh my goodness, like what's he gonna do? What would I do? And it's just like kind of wearing that identity. And I see a lot of people, a lot of guys and gals wearing that firefighter identity. Was it something for you that you found difficult, kind of like letting that identity go? Or did you ever really have that firefighter? This is who I am. This is the only thing I'll ever be.
Probably a little bit of both, right? So I went through this when I left the Marine Corps. And I
Mm,
remember going, I'm a Marine. And now am I not a Marine? And I had to think about that part of my life and to completely say, okay, you're never coming back to this. So I think I was fortunate to have that as a pretext. And then on top
mm,
of it, I was always looking. I mean, you know me, right? So I was always looking for the next things as I was being a firefighter. So, like, what business am I going to start? I always had an entrepreneurial mindset, and I'm like, that's why I opened up the restaurant during that time too. I was like, I'm going to max out as a captain. I'm not going to go anywhere further, and I'm going to do something on the side where I can like figure out myself out, be creative, and that's where the restaurant side. So there was a part of that. Now, yes, there's like a huge hole that you sit there and you're like, okay, I'm not going to be in the fire service anymore. And that is still a part of me, like where I'm still trying to figure out what that separation looks like. But doing what I'm doing now on city council, it's still so tied in that it hasn't totally left me, and it can't, because I do represent that part of the department. Um, so fortunately, my glide path out wasn't like, okay, you're done, pack your bags. Like you have to now sit there and rethink yourself. I was already in this transition into something else.
Gotcha. And I love how you touched on the creativity. Um, it's something that for me, more recently, I got that creativity bug that you just talked about, whether it's building a business or you had a coffee shop or you're looking for some way to create something. I think it comes to people at in different stages of life. Me kind of pushing now into my 40s, I've, for whatever reason, man, I've got that creativity bug. And you touched on it, where you just have this excitement. It's just this thing that you have that you're looking for, and this opportunity to start something from nothing. Like this podcast, it's just other things that I'm doing, and that you've done and that you continue to do. So I feel like the creativity thing is such a wonderful and awesome thing that once you get it, it's hard to, like, not see it. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. And now, you wake up, and obviously I do my job as a firefighter. I enjoy it very much, but I also have this cool thing that's kind of like my own thing that I get to create, and I get to connect with people, right? We hadn't talked in a couple of years. I hadn't seen you, and now we're talking, we're connecting, and it's all from creativity.
Yeah, I think, if you're in a career like we are in the fire service, where for how exciting it can be, and we just described that, there is also like a bread and butter feel, like you're clocking in, you're doing what you've always known, and you're getting out. And even if you decide to promote or not, you kind of already see what this path is going to look like. It doesn't allow for as much creativity there. It does in some things, like we're taught, like we learn a lot of tools for toolkit, and when we go on scene, we have to be creative. We got to think about how are we going to manage this if it's something we've never seen before. But those incidences are actually rare, right? So then you start losing that ability to innovate. And I don't know, part of me, I'm definitely like got this little artist mentality, and so I do want to like create something from nothing. And I've had parents that are entrepreneurs, and I've watched them do it, and it's
Yeah.
so that's something where wanted to challenge myself. And it is a part of like an escape mechanism of like your normal day in, day out, is to do things like this. And there's also the one thing I always have to tell people, though, is that um, it's a journey that you have to appreciate. It's not the destination. It's not a dollar figure you got to make. It has nothing to do with that. It really just has to do with the process of like allowing your mind to open up and like try new things and say, okay, what is this going to be like? And fail. There's just all of that. It's the risk you get to take that's different than it was before. It's fun. It's life.
Man, so cool. So cool. I definitely feel you on that. So, looking back now, do you see this setback, if you can call it a setback, or would you call it a redirection or a setback that has now moved you in a totally different direction, right? Now you're into something that I don't know if you had it planned or not, but now you're a city council member for the city of Carlsbad. Like, sheesh, fire department, coffee shop, and now, still having that servant kind of mentality, and now you're serving in a different way. Can you talk about that?
Yeah. So, I mean, the timing was almost perfect for the disaster of being, injured and being told. So it was literally, I don't remember, it was not that long apart from being told I can't be a firefighter anymore to having people have me consider running for office. And once a few people kind of said that, I just said, okay, if I get the right kind of support, I'll try this. Let's just see what this is. We, we know when we're in the fire station, we're talking about everything, right? Every topic, what have you. And so I'm like, this is a challenge right now to be in office, to not think about being tied to one organization or another so much, and really just thinking about how can I do this my way, and what does that look like? And there is no such thing in politics as true success, if you really want to know.
Mm,
But can I help get like people a little bit more of where they need to be in life, from
mm,
how the city's being managed to just like residents in general. And we're in extremely challenging times right now, right? We don't have to like
mm,
say all the things to get people pissed off one way or another, but from how politics is laid out to technological advancements right now, we're in a crossroads where people are having a harder time to figure out their identity. This is like a great reason why you exist right now, right? Just figuring out this next step. It's really, really, really challenging. And what are we telling our kids, right? Like, it is
right.
so hard. We have to tell them
Yeah.
that they have a sense of identity, that there's tribes that we want them to be in. And we have to also figure out in our own minds, what does that mean for us? And how do we make it so that the other tribes that we're not in are not our enemies, right?
Yeah.
We're in this huge mind funk right now. And I mean, that's the way I want to approach it. But are there parents and people who feel like, okay, this is my tribe, and that one who said one little ounce of disagreement with me are now like purely the enemy, I hate them, and this and that? How do you raise kids to not go down that path when we're seeing adults do it, right? So that's the challenge right now in office, which is, I got to deal with like a sewer project, or the roads need to be paved the right way, and the fire department needs to have their equipment, all the way down from that to like just societal level issues. And like, I don't want to conduct myself, right? Leadership by example. I don't want to conduct myself and saying, oh, I'm this person, and then those people do not act like they're terrible, right? I'm like, no, we're all going through this together. I swear, if you actually talk to those people, you'd realize that you're 98% the same. So it's an interesting dilemma that we're in, but it's also so fun to try to take on this challenge as well. It's a trip.
Man, you hit the nail on the head. Obviously, you're well in and well versed on the whole politics thing. But yeah, man, it's really become this us versus them versus us coming together and solving the problems, the big problems that we have, right? As a society, as a city, as a community, what have you. But yeah, the tribalism that is happening is it's hard because how do you, like you mentioned, how do I talk to my kids about this? And if I talk to them in a way that isn't caring and isn't like showing compassion, are they even going to listen to me, or are they going to take on these same things that I tell them, right? So it's something that I've tried to navigate with my own kids, and my oldest is 12, almost going to be 13, and we start talking about things, about societal things, and she'll ask questions, and I try to navigate as best as I can, because I think all of us, for the most part, are just a mix of a lot of different beliefs, right? And there's no one belief, there's no one right way. it's all of us coming together. It's a little bit of right, a little bit of left, a little bit of just a mix. But in the state of politics today, at least when you go online or you get your phone, it's like us versus them, and we're totally right and they are totally wrong. Like every single thing they say is wrong, every single thing I say is right. And it's like, whoa, like what in the world? Like, how do we navigate this?
Yeah, I think, well, I have a lot of thoughts on this, right? And we all do right now going through this, but like being in the position as an elected, I kind of have to take this in different approaches. One is how do you teach tolerance? That's the biggest thing by far, right? So that there can be core beliefs on like politics and religion saying like this is what I completely believe in, and then to tell people that it's fine that that person over there believes in the exact opposite thing, but that's their journey that they want to have, like so be it.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm.
And that's where some of the conflicts rises. That's one. We are we're in a mix of a handful of things together that has happened for the first time ever in humanity. So just think about this. This is what I was trying to tell someone the other day. Last month was Black History Month, right? So, and within that scope, it's really understanding the Civil Rights Act of 1968. Okay. So think about this. This is the first time ever in humanity for less than 60 years that we have like codified a doctrine saying that we're all equal, because it didn't really take place just in 1776, right? They still had slaves. They still had all that stuff going on. So in the 68, they finally said that women are equal, races are equal. What, 100,000 years of humanity. This is the first 60 years of our experience trying to go through this. And so you have people that, if that was just 60 years ago, you have people that are 80 right now, that when they were 20, they believed against it. And so we're still going in through a lifetime of experience of just trying to make this thing feel normal. That I'm Asian, right, you're Mexican or Latino, someone's Black, someone's a woman, and we all have to be okay with it because it's never happened before. And so, I feel like an old guard is still out there feeling like that it was, that it's still kind of not acceptable, that the things I don't want to lash out. And then it's so easy to be in a tribe and saying like, oh, you're right. Like they are behaving that way. So yeah, they are terrible if you're a kid. Right.
Yeah.
And so, and we're kind of caught in this middle. We're like Gen Xers. Like we really believed in like, okay, we are now going through a society where we're all going to kind of kumbaya, like our 90s moments and our 2000s. And so something's just a little bit off going right now. And it's to find that puzzle. I just think the only way through all of this is going to be tolerance. Like I'm cool that you're different. And you and I have experienced this forever because like we're from LA, like you know what I mean, like we know, okay, those are the Persians over there, those are the Mexicans over there, I'm Korean, I'm over here, those are the white guys over there. Like we're so
many different so many different groups, right? Wow, that is such a cool it's that's such a powerful just like thing that you just said, and I'm trying to soak it all up. It's only been 60 years. Wow.
Next year will be the 60th anniversary. Or no, Civil Rights Act was 1968. So we're like 58 years in this, you know. Wow. And we're 40. I'm 47. Like that means it was only like a decade before I was born that you drank in a different water fountain if you were Black than white. And I don't even know what fountain we would be drinking out of, right? So it's just a trip.
Sheesh, that is a trip, man. You know, and we're moving forward and we're taking steps, and in the world sometimes it can look as if it's all chaos, as if everything is bad. Turn on the TV right now, there's all of these images of war and strife and conflict. But we are taking steps forward. That's my lens that I look at life through. There's obviously a different, there's problems everywhere, and those problems, there's going to be problems all the time, but the lens that I choose to look at life through is the one that you just described. That's like, hey man, we're moving forward. We just took this humongous step in our nation's history, 58 years ago, and we're going to continue to make steps moving forward. However, sometimes in the moment, it feels like, oh, we're just lost, like the world's going to end, and we're going to have some nuclear warfare. But for me, I choose to look at it differently. I choose to highlight the advances, to highlight the amazing things that are going on in our world. I understand the reality too, man. I'm not just rainbows and sunshine all day long. I understand the state of the world.
Yeah. And I think that it's like a sense of, there's two sides, right? So there's a side of optimism where we want to show our kids, like, to show them vision and what's beautiful about life. And then there's the other side where we know that there's a dark history and there's a dark current, and there could be a dark
Yeah.
future. And so, what does that mean? That's why I just keep preaching the word of tolerance, just because I'm like, I just want to be me. I want to learn. I want to do these things. I want to innovate. I want to be creative, but I shouldn't get blasted for that. Right. Like, and
Right.
you do your own journey. And as a city council member, I'm like, you guys all have your fun, please. Just obey these laws. Don't kill, hurt, to scam somebody. I'm like, don't do those things. Outside of that, I want to give you a nice little atmosphere where you can just do whatever you want to do. Like, dude, who cares? Yeah. We're lucky to go around the sun 100 times. Like, that's it. We're already halfway through. So, like, use your time wisely.
Yeah. So now, transitioning into the girl dad topic, man. You have two beautiful young daughters. What are their ages?
So 10 and 12, kind of like yours.
Wow. Yeah. So I have a 12-year-old, I have a 7-year-old now, and a 3-year-old. Such a cool thing, such a unique thing, right? Growing up as men, right? We don't have all of the perspectives and all the experiences. We have our own experiences. But how's dad life treating you, man? How's raising girls?
I love it. I feel like if I raised a boy, I would have expectations on that son that would be like, keep up with me or better. And I don't have to do that with a daughter. I just really want them to thrive, learn, grow, and be healthy. It's helped me. I'll say this one thing, especially so this is something I don't even know if I told you. When we found out we were going to have a girl, I kept asking a bunch of women, like, hey, how do you be a good dad to a girl? And they said, just treat them the way you want their husbands to treat them or their partners to treat them. Right. And I'm like, oh my God, I have been an asshole my whole life. And I'm like, and I know it. And I thrive off being that. Like the Marine Corps was somewhere where I thrived because of that personality type. And I remember I had my Scrooge moment then where I was like, oh my God, I'm going to be a lot better. I'm going to be kinder to people, my coworkers and whatnot. And I walked into the fire station and I was a changed man, but none of you guys could tell because you guys were just like, there he is again, like showing up. And I remember not feeling like there was an appreciation for the change that I had become. But then I had realized how are you guys going to know this? Right. So I remember going to a lot of people that I feel like I offended in the fire service, in our stations. And I would just pull them aside and I would tell them that I changed. And I tell them I've realized who I've been and I'm going to work on being better. And I had really deeply just apologized to them because I'm like, I didn't realize necessarily the track I was on. And then I kind of started realizing people changing. They were like, oh yeah, you know how we are. We're like, oh yeah, it's fine, dude. Don't sweat it. But then I did realize that they recognized I was changing as a person. And I think that growth was huge, huge. It's changed the way I lead. It's changed the way I perceive life. Like that's the reward I have through them. And then the one thing is about having kids is you eventually get called out on the things you're not good at.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you can't always necessarily say like just do as I say, not as I do. Like that's not a good
It's happening a
excuse.
lot more with the 12-year-olds. I think it's a 12, they hit an age where it's like, hey, wait a second.
Yep.
You said this.
And it happens more often than not. And I've had to really realize like, okay, I like they're going to test my character as much as I'm telling them how their character should be. So
Yeah.
there's a reward to that. But there's a lot of humility behind that as well. Right.
Oh yeah.
Outside of that, I just feel blessed that I have healthy kids. They're thriving, they're funny, they're witty. They have a
Yeah,
great
I see.
group
I
of
see
friends.
your kids in some of your videos, man. Definitely, have the wittiness and funny and silly, and that's so cool to see, man. Sounds like you. It looks like you guys are having fun, and that's part of it, man. Having fun with them too.
Yeah, that as well as like you get the negative sides too, where you're trying to deal with like their sadness, or the anger, or if they're irrational or I'm irrational. Like it's the standard household. What seems funny on a sitcom, but when it's happening in real life, you're like, this doesn't feel funny.
Yeah, man. Definitely. I had one of those moments yesterday. I was with my 7-year-old for most of the day. It was just me and her because my wife and other two daughters were at a softball tournament down south in Orange County. And we were up here and, just kind of the emotions, some separation anxiety from mom and from this. And I'm just, oh, she's coming back. But really having that awareness of, okay, the 7-year-old is feeling something right now, right? Allow her to feel it. And a lot of the times as men, maybe we don't have all of these feelings, or we don't take the time to understand them. Raising daughters, there's a lot of feeling. Like, well, yeah, you said yes, but the way you said it, you made me feel this way, and I feel this way because my mom's not here. Well, it's really understanding. For me, the feeling is such a tricky thing, but I'm way better at it now. It's something that I'm learning.
I totally agree. I think so. Like, the emotional construct in our minds are so different from probably being a woman to a man, but still,
Yeah,
regardless, it's still so difficult for probably how a lot of us were raised, right? Like, you got to suck it
yeah,
up. Or
yeah.
I definitely know my sadness can turn into anger. Like, that's how I process. It's not because I want to
Mm.
process it, but if something makes me like sad, rarely will I just go into that emotion. Usually just goes like, F it, and I get pissed. Right? So,
Yeah,
and I think that's where women have a lot of great, their power comes from understanding what they're feeling at the given time. So if you like ask same situation happens to a woman or a man, I feel like women can just go like, well, I'm feeling this. And
yeah.
for us guys, we're like, nothing. We're like, whatever. Like,
Yeah.
and it's not good. It
Oh,
can well on you
definitely.
if we can't process it. But I totally agree, man. Yes. Yeah. What
Yeah.
you're going through, gosh, man, I feel that too.
Yeah. I read this really good book. It's called The Way of the Superior Man. There's a few chapters in that book, and it talks to men at all different stages, from a single man, married man, you're a little bit older. And there's a section in the book that talks about exactly that, understanding feelings and understanding it basically like the current of an ocean, right? Sometimes, they're feeling something, and it's just really the way that you as a man are making them feel. So I'm totally butchering the section in that book, but it's got like 3 chapters in there that are so good at helping us understand their emotions and their feelings and how we can basically play to that. And honestly, the one word that this author gives is just love. all about love and tolerance. Just love them, hug them, smooch them up, kiss them, and just show them love. You don't have to fix it. You don't have to find the solution. You don't have to answer any of that. You just show up as a loving person, a loving man, a loving father, loving husband. And that's it. That's all you need to do. Drop your ego and just love. And I'm like, okay. So I've been doing that, and it's really the only thing that works.
Like I've tried it all.
I've tried it all, man. Hey, you should just do this. Here, just do this, this, and this, and you'll feel better. But that's not gonna. That doesn't work.
Yeah,
Just
it's the so there's some funny things to say about that in regards to leadership. One is when you were saying those things. One, in my opinion, leadership, you don't have to worry so much about your IQ and like what you know about the job. You have to start transitioning yourself about the EQ. You have to know how people emotionally are, but you also have to know yourself really well. And the more you know yourself, and then now you get snapshots of how other people are, then you can lead so much better because you can get connected with that level, right? And a lot of it is because when you're disciplining somebody or you're counseling or you got to terminate them, it's rarely because they don't know how to do the job. You've hired them and you got them usually to a point where they can do the job. It's really about how are they interacting with everybody else? How are you interacting with them, and vice versa? And those are emotional constructs. They're not IQ constructs, right? So that's one component that I see in leadership where I'm like, okay, that's a deal. And then there's a mixed bag. My only pushback I have about what you said is that it's called, have you ever heard of the phrase called metacognition?
I have heard it. I can't. I can't explain it. Really.
Go into description. So it's like you've got your forebrain, right? That's what makes us like humans, and we're able to process things so well, right, in our head. Deep in the core, we have something called the limbic system. And the limbic system receives the first sets of like sensories coming at us. And then it needs to ask the first question, which is, do I need to get emotional about this? Because it'll help you with your fight or flight decision. Okay. Yeah. And then after that, it can go and process through your forebrain. Now, the problem is at times with emotions is that it's great because we get to understand the feelings of emotions, but it can also be a hindrance, right? Where you're trying to have someone, like if you and I are on a scene somewhere and everyone's emotional, the whole crowd's emotional, the difference between the crowd and us is that we're not emotional about the scene. That we can think with just clarity of kind of dismissing that part that, I can go through that emotion, but I'm going to choose not to because it's just a temporal state. It's what my brain is deciding to do. So metacognition is like the process of knowing in your forebrain that you have these emotions. You're choosing to control how you're going to handle those emotions, right? Mm-hmm. So that's also like this other part that I got to teach my kids as well, which is, and we do this, right? Calm down, breathe. Even though they're tripping out about something that is so irrelevant. And then you start going, okay, now aren't you feeling better? Like, we just need to take a nap, or you just need to get some food, or you can't go to the birthday party because we have to go do something else. And so that component exists, I think, in leadership. That's what I think is actually the separator. And that's what's difficult because we have to figure out how to control our emotions, but then make sure that are released properly elsewhere. And so a crappy leader is like I'm going to get mad at you for doing something. I'm going to all that. And you're highlighting the good parts of like how you need to conduct yourself when you're dealing with someone, right? So whether you're a boss, a parent, or whatever, you're going in there saying, I'm going to show up with love and support for you. I'm going to listen to you. And then the other step is the only pushback, like I said, is okay, now go clean your room.
Yeah.
Or now go do your work.
Yeah. No, definitely. No, that's such a good point. Yeah, you have to lovingly move forward. So, hey, now like you said. Didn't I ask you to get those dishes like 3 times?
I
You have
love
one
you.
job.
I love you, but get the job done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man. So you've experienced a bunch of different chapters in your life. You know, you had military, you had firefighter, entrepreneur, and now you're in public service. What has, all of this taught you about resilience and reinvention?
Great. So yeah, I got exposed to being able to have to constantly reinvent myself. I never thought I was going to be in every position, to be honest, right? So it wasn't like I was a Marine saying one day I'm going to be a city council member or even in the fire service. I thought I was going to have like 10 more years and retire and blah, 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 and then figure out life. So a couple of things. One, I would say I'm fortunate to have grown up with the parents that I have. So when he talks about the nurture side of nature and nurture, I have immigrant parents showed up with a couple $100 in their pockets. They came from a Civil War torn environment, and then they live in Palos Verdes, right?
Yeah.
So like imagine me having a couple $100 in my pocket, moving to France. I don't know French, and then now I'm living in like the South Beach of France and tons of
Right.
resources and all of that. I'm like, that is
Right.
next to impossible. So
Yeah.
a lot of times I think when I'm going through a struggle, I get to look back at my parents' struggle and say, I'm a wuss by even complaining about what
Yeah.
I'm going through,
Yeah.
right? In comparison
Yeah.
to what they are. So I have a great rooted base from that. And I don't think everyone gets that, but it's just what I have. That's what's made me fortunate on that side. The other thing I think that gets me through the resilience thing is how quickly I just realize, okay, I'm like, what else am I going to be able to do? So if when COVID was taking place and I had the restaurant and my staff and everyone was wondering what was going to happen, I said, who cares? Who cares if I fail? If I fail, I fail. If you fail, you fail, whatever. Like, let's just make this a fun story. Like, we're going to have our little history, in our lives that we went through COVID and we were in a restaurant, everything that was supposed to be scary, like we were in the middle of. Um,
Right.
and so I'm like, let's accept the challenge and go through it. The transition from the fire service to the elected side was not difficult to be seen, just because we already knew what city government was like to certain degrees, right? Like with public safety. So and I knew budgeting, so like that part was already familiar to me. What wasn't was like zoning and planning and public works beyond what we do with public works, which is just call them and we're like, help, like turn off this
Help us.
water main. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like there are 911. So,
Yeah.
so it wasn't like out of my realm, but I also was scared about doing some stuff. Like I had never campaigned. I had never tried to like tout who I was and like come vote for me. And what if I lose and all of that? So, I kind of like that, right? I like that challenge of going, okay, I could fail. Like, let's go for it.
Yeah.
There's like,
Yeah.
I was thinking about you when, before I came here, and you're all about fitness, and so this is a fun fitness analogy that I'm like, okay, this is a cool one. So tell me what hypertrophy is.
Basically, when you overwork your muscles and then you get to a point where you're no longer making gains, you are actually you're going backwards, essentially.
Like you've
Overworking your muscle.
yeah, you've gone to a sense of failure with your muscles. Now you got to recover and eat, and that's how you grow, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So I think, and then that's what we want, right? Like we're like,
Yeah.
we need hypertrophy in order to grow. And so I'm like, what?
Yeah.
That's the mental aspect. What does full capacity of my brain look like? And so, that's why I was loving when it was, post 9/11. I'm trying to get my college degree at the same time, and I'm doing all these things at once. I'm like, oh my, I'm overloaded right now. And it's the same thing that happened when it was during COVID, restaurant, fire service. Now I got an injury and I'm trying to be a parent. I'm like, I don't even know how I'm surviving this. I just know when I get to recover from this, I am going to be a much stronger human being. And that is like,
Yeah.
that's the hypertrophy of the brain, right? And
Yeah.
I am watching people these days wanting to do less and demanding that they need to do less. I need to have a balance between my work and my life. And I'm like, well,
Yeah.
what is your life then? And so for me, it's like it's not a balance between the two. It's like at I want to know what full capacity looks like at all times. And then I'll know when I need to rest and recover, right? My body will tell me, my mind will tell me like you need to throttle back and go lounge or something for a few days and then get antsy
Yeah.
again and then go see what like doing a lot is. Um, and that's what's tripping me out about some people in society these days is that they're like looking for the less. And I'm like, is that what we're going to put on your tombstone? That you found how to do less and like, congratulations. Like, I don't think that that's what's healthy in our minds. Um, that's one side of it. And then the other side of it is, like just demonstrate that to other people, like what this looks like, trying to do as much. They look at you, how are you doing so much? And I'm like, without being too cynical or whatever, I just want to say, like, how are you not doing everything you possibly
Yeah.
can do? It's
Yeah.
fun. Like, we're in
Oh,
first world
it's
problems
fun.
here. Like,
So fun. Yeah, man, you hit the nail on the head with that because, that's exactly where I'm at also, right? I got multiple different hats. I am the father, I am the husband, I am the firefighter, but, I'm also wearing these different hats. Podcast host. Like I couldn't tell you my very first one how uncomfortable I was talking in front of the camera, how much I had other people's thoughts and opinions in my own brain about, oh man, they're gonna say this or they're gonna say that, so I'm just gonna stay small. I'm not gonna do this or I'm not gonna. But I've always wanted to do it. The podcasting stuff, the content, the fitness, really pushing myself to my fitness to the max, to the hypertrophy, with my nutrition and now with the coaching, the coaching business that I have. And then the real estate, that's something I don't really touch on a lot. Having real estate rentals out of state, uh, that is a whole other beast of time that, occupies a lot of my brain. But like you said, man, it is so much fun to wake up and to see and to challenge yourself and your brain. Like, how much can I expand? How much can I grow today? I'm sitting here on my own podcast with my very first guest. We're having an awesome conversation. Like, that's creation. That is hypertrophy. And what you just highlighted, man, whew, that hit the nail on the head, Kevin. That was so cool. That's
yeah, I
awesome.
wouldn't even thought it up until I'm like, okay, I gotta talk to your meathead. But like, you're always when I was scared.
Right?
I wouldn't even go to the gym when you're in the gym. I'm like, like half an ass. So I'm like, get out of
Yeah,
here.
man, and that's one thing. Like, hey, am I just gonna be this meathead? Am I gonna be this guy, or can I expand? Can I utilize my brain to its limits? Are you utilizing your time? And that's the other thing that people don't realize is how much time you waste in a day doing just mind numbing things, scrolling on the phone forever, watching TV, sitting on the couch, a bunch of different things that people do when you can just take, hey, 30 minutes here, 20 minutes here, 15 minutes there, and you now created something, and now you pushed your brain and you turned your brain on like a light switch, like, oh, and then that light switch turns on something else that turns on something else, and boom, now you're sitting in the city council or whatever your next step is. So, dude, Hit nail on the head right there, man. I
And
love it.
and like, for yourself and for anybody who's doing anything that they're passionate about, it's this journey, right? Like,
Yeah.
you shouldn't say in your mind, I have to hit 1,000 people need to see this, or 1,000,000 people need to see this, or I need a $10,000 sponsor. I mean, all that sounds nice and everything, but that's not like, when you get there, we know this about money. Like, when you get to this point where you're like, I want to make $100,000, you get there, and then you're like, the journey was what I was
Journey.
thriving on. Now I'm here. Now it feels normal. Now I need that next, what you had just said, challenge. I need to be challenged, and it can't be artificial. That's what's getting really tough with people these days, is that the challenges that they're seeking, they're not sure what it is. So then there's artificial challenges that are being put up, and it's not like the real thing. I'm going to bash on CrossFit right now, but like, for me, when someone's like, "Hey, you want to do CrossFit?" I'm like, that just reminded me of boot camp. I go, I don't need to simulate boot camp. I already went through it. I don't want to work out that way. I'm like, thanks, but no thanks. Now, that person, it might be great for them, but if I were to take on CrossFit just because people are telling me to do it, it would artificially feel like a challenge for me, right? So people need to find out first what's their passions in life. That's the first thing. And then the next thing is, how do you get yourself there? And probably one of the last things I want to tell people, and this, is I fill my cup by serving. I don't fill my cup by saying what I need. I could live in a shoebox, man. As long as the bed's somewhat comfortable and I get my food and I feel healthy, that's all I actually need. But when I'm helping someone, like when we're done with a call and when we deliver that baby or we did whatever, and that person feels that much better, like, I go home every night, or every morning from the fire department going, man, I know I helped. And all the nonprofit work I do is actually where I feel the best in my world. I'm dealing with people who have made it a goal to stamp out hunger or addiction or mental health recovery or whatever it is. And when I'm done volunteering for those days are the days that I'm just like, that feels really good. Like, I was in a team with people. I saw great leadership take place, and we're all doing this to help the people who need the bare bones essential, right? The stuff I was just talking about to just live. I would almost say that would be a great solution now that I'm thinking about it. Like, if people are like, I don't know what to do, I'm like, just go volunteer for a second.
Sure.
Like,
Yeah.
dude, you're fine. You look like you're not starving. It looks like you got enough sleep. Like, there's people who don't have that opportunity. Like, go help them for a day, and I guarantee you won't feel bad doing it.
Yeah.
And see if it'll make you feel good.
Yeah.
So,
excellent point, man. Excellent point. Service, helping others is the ultimate in satisfaction for me. And it really lifts you up, and it gives you that purpose that you talked about, the purpose that we all need to be aligned, to have that motivation. And a lot of people maybe are floating around, not knowing what to do, feeling sad, depressed, or whatnot. But if you get up and, like you said, go volunteer somewhere, that internal feeling that you're going to get from helping somebody becomes addictive. Like, you're like, oh, this is it. This is what I need. This is purpose. God, I love it. So lastly, if somebody feels stuck right now, and we're kind of touching on it, whatever, in their career, health, or just in a general life direction, what's one piece of advice that you'd tell them to get their life turned around?
Some of what we just described, of course, touched on it. The beauty about being in public office, I think, is about the access to being able to learn from people and experts that you would never even thought you'd have an opportunity to get access to. So a lot of it right now has been like university professors. Like, I have these weird questions like you have, and I just go research who's the professor doing it, and they will give me time to have a conversation with them. So like on my side, this podcast side is actually gonna be a lot of interviewing of university professors about where they're exploring this and that. Okay, so under that, behavioral psychologists describe something called a schema. And a schema is basically how does your mind construct like its structure, mentally, behaviorally, right? It's the pillars in which we are able to like thrive and live in the next day. So the schema is all of our external behaviors of how we're nurtured, how we see society, politics, religion, all of that, right? We create this. You talk to someone, you say, what makes you strong? What makes you feel strong? They are describing their schema. I am this religion, and I believe in these politics, and this my family roots, and right? Right. So we create this stuff, and then this is the thing that's tough for some people to recognize is that most social constructs are all just fiction. And so there's a book called Sapiens. If you ever read that book, he's a historian. Yeah. Okay, so in order for societies to form, you have to believe in something that's not real. So you have to all pledge to the flag, or you have to all believe that money is a certain value, and you have to start doing these things that are not real in order for us to all actually go, we'll bond together because of this. Okay, so a large part of that is your schema. You go, okay, this is what I believe in, right? So a big one for me is the Marine Corps. I say I got a lot of my character and attitude and the way I believe in the country and protecting people is all going to be that. Now, there's a negative side to every social construct you create. So also meaning that in the Marine Corps, your job is to figure out how do you kill humans as fast as possible and effectively as possible, right? So I'm hypocritical to how I have to think, and this takes place with that politics, religion, family, you name it, right? So as you're building your schema, and that gets you through the day, I challenge people to destroy your schema and start from ground back up again. And go, okay, today is a different day than yesterday. If I destroyed my entire way about how I approach the structure of my mind, can I rebuild it back up? And what's missing or changed through that process? Or what am I realizing is kind of BS, but I'm willing to accept that BS in order to like make me feel strong? And I think as people can start understanding that within their own minds, then they can understand like how they're going to take their next steps forward. But it comes with accepting that you're going to believe in something. And this is like, I know you share faith and whatnot, but that word faith is also saying, I'm going to believe in something that a good portion of the population may not want to believe in, but I'm willing to believe in it because it keeps me strong, right? Like, so for me, it's like the Marine Corps, like I said, and it's fine. And that's the thing. It's fine that I'm in my tribe and that this is how I want to believe. And this is going to make me feel like I'm going to take care of the next person. And it's fine that you are able to destroy your schema and you still build it all back up and you say, this is my faith. I'm still going to believe in it. And that you and I can also share things together that are saying family and being a girl dad are things that are going to keep you and I connected, even though they're not because of faith or politics or whatnot. Right. And so that ability to strengthen your mind that way is extremely difficult, right? Say, I'm going to collapse my faith for today and I'm going to see if I can rebuild it up and I'm going to see what I think is probably BS, but I'm willing to accept the manner in which will help me through that day. And it's tough. And so when I talk to behavioral psychologists and they're describing that's how we build our lives, I'm like, okay, then how are we going to be able to collapse it and rebuild as every day goes by? Because even your principles of your faith from when you were 10 to now you're in your 40s is different. And the way you see politics is different. And same with me. Like there used to be a side where I would judge people more because they're this way or that way. And then as I get older and as I'm like raising little humans, I'm like, you know what, you're going to have to figure out how you're going to maintain your strengths and move on and stay resilient. But you shouldn't just trap yourself in the way you were thinking yesterday. 5 years ago, 10 years ago. You need to constantly like just destroy the house and rebuild your house. So that's how I think, but I could be totally
Yeah.
off.
Man, that's good, man. That's good. It kind of touches on a lot of mental strength and having your thoughts in line, checking in daily. A lot of people don't check in daily. A lot of people go through life basically floating to whatever it is that they're around. If they're around the TV and the TV saying something, then they go with those thoughts. If they're in a room and people are saying, "Hey, I really hate French food today. I hate French fries." Oh, yeah, yeah, I hate French fries. Oh, I hate sushi. Oh, yeah, I hate sushi. Or just to whatever the room temperature is, to whatever the flavor of the day is, right? So it's awesome that you touched on hey, you have to be mindful of the thoughts and you have to really check in daily to, build your own thoughts. And I like how you touched on, relaying those values to your kids, where maybe I'm saying something today that may not make sense and that may be totally off, right? Because we're not the same person we were when we were 10 to 20 to 30 to 40. If I had my kids when I was, 20, I don't know, it'd be a whole different thing, right? A
Yeah.
whole different conversation, right? Because I'm a different person than I was when I was 20 years old. So definitely checking in with your mind, being aware of your thoughts. Awareness of your thoughts is
Yeah.
a very powerful thing.
And it's like, I guess the best analogy behind what I just said is like, that's the beauty of the Constitution. It's amendable. You can go
Mm.
like, you know what, that was cool back then. Now let's free some slaves. It's like,
Yeah.
it's like there's always an opportunity to amend how you're thinking about things and saying like, I'm okay, I'm willing to adjust now. Like this is, I had thought this way about whatever such topic, and now I'm willing to adjust it. And then I also think if you're not doing that, you get yourself in trouble. And I remember you, me, and a lot of firefighters probably in our age or our seniority bracket on were taught at one point with IAFF. It was called the normalization of deviance. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
That concept basically was from the shuttle explosion and why that happened. And that was because everyone around just kept thinking that normal is normal. And if someone went a little bit more deviant in order to make things easier, then it just became normal. And then as those little deviations kept stacking, it became like a tragedy, which was the Challenger explosion. But then when you root back to it, you realize we just kept allowing things to be normal. So like we used to have it normal where we wouldn't wear SCBAs before our time, right? And to have it was weird. And so like people looked at that as not normal. And someone had to go in there and saying like, we got to stop this. We have to change. Put on your
Okay.
seatbelt, whatever it is, for safety reasons in that way. But it also challenges our own mind. Like if we're not adjusting and adapting to what we think can make us stronger, we're going to be weak with a false sense of being strong. And
Yeah.
so that's what starts playing with people's heads. They start pouting their chest like us guys and saying we're alpha, we're alpha, we're alpha, and we can lift a lot of weights and we can do whatever. But then psychologically in our minds, we're lost. And
Yeah.
then we're just, yeah, right. We're just repeating,
You're
eating
not
protein,
checked
lifting.
in.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're not checked in, man.
Not checked in,
You're
man.
checked in externally, but you're not checked in internally.
Yeah.
And that's, like I said earlier, a lot of people are not checked in internally. So, Kevin, I love it, man. I love the conversation. I feel like we could talk for a couple of more hours, but I know you got things to do. So thank you so much for joining me here today on the podcast. My very first guest, man.
Yeah.
So happy, man. So glad that you joined me here today. And for everyone else, thank you guys for joining us here on this conversation. Hopefully, you took something of value from our conversation. And if you liked it, Don't forget to share it with a friend, like and subscribe. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. Have a great day. God bless.